kind of lacking in the Commonwealth. All people have to entertain themselves are a couple radio stations and one singer, but even then she only has like 5 songs. With it being Valentine's Day, I can't let the lonely people of the Commonwealth go undistracted. And you too if you're watching this right when it's uploaded. Can't imagine you're out on a date if you're watching a YouTube video on the evening of February 14th. Here, you can be my date to the screening party. I guess I should probably tell you what we're screening. If you're into reality TV, you know there's a pattern of island-based dating shows. There's Love Island, Bachelor in Paradise, Too Hot to Handle, Temptation Island, F-Boy Island, MILF Manor. A lot of shows with stupid names, but really they're all the same premise. I want to bring the art of trashy reality television to Fallout 4's very own Isle of Garbage, Spectacle Island. I'm not insulting the island by calling it trashy, it literally used to be a trash dump in real life. But that's what makes it perfect for a reality dating show, right? I'm gonna run my show right here on this Mirelurk-infested island. Just because I wanted to cry last time I had to fight a bunch of Mirelurks doesn't mean I won't deal with them. I'm just gonna cry for real this time. Finding contestants will be no trouble at all because Fallout 4 has 7 romanceable companions in the base game. There are plenty more romanceable characters that aren't companions, but for me to create something entertaining for the people of the Commonwealth, I'll need people I can freely move around. I named myself after the production company behind Love Island and gave myself Charisma 10 because you'll never get anywhere as a producer without at least 10. Oh, did I mention I'm competing in the show too? Don't look at me like that, you're only my fake date to the fake screening. To understand the romantic sides to these other contestants, I just have to date them myself. That makes sense, I think. Then, after I fully romanced each of the competing companions, I'll choose my favorite to devote myself to forever with this wedding ring. Don't ask where I got this. Everybody knows that a cast makes the reality show. We're gonna need to find some compelling characters for people all over the world to fall in love with, which is probably what Bethesda said when they started writing these companions. At the beginning of my journey to find good television personalities, I stopped at the Museum of Freedom. I figured there must be something good in there if all those raiders were trying so hard to get in. After battling my way through those guys, I met this colonially dressed man with an equally old-timey looking gun. Guy must be a war reenactor or something. They always pick a weird person to go on these shows, so I figured I should take him. This is Preston Garvey, the last-ish member of the Minutemen and the most annoying gameplay mechanic in all of Fallout 4. Well, besides Dima's memory in Far Harbor. While his non-stop nagging about settlements will become bothersome in the future, Preston is the kind-hearted, well-meaning weirdo that every reality show needs, so I'll be sure to come back for him. Next, I ran down to Diamond City so I could get a good central location to fast travel to and from. There I met another romanceable companion, Piper, but her confrontational attitude made me wary of bringing her on the show. You just never know what can happen when you put somebody like that in front of a camera. From there, I headed east and entered the combat zone, a fighting arena frequented by raiders.
No fighting outside the cage, huh? Alright. Keep my beefs on the streets? Okay. Hey, my beefs? They're on the streets.
Once the dust had settled after that absolute massacre, I noticed that there were 2 survivors in the ring. This is Tommy, the owner of this fine establishment which I just blew up, and this is Cait, his star fighter. She's sort of like Ken Jennings, where she's just such a great contestant that she keeps having to come back, and her expected success is kind of making the show boring. Tommy's show, not mine. Because Cait has some experience in the spotlight, I decided that she'd be a good fit for my reality show and promised to come back for her when the time came. While I was in the area, I went to Good Neighbor in search of one more contestant. I met another guy rocking Revolution-era clothes and a name to match, but I felt that was too similar to Preston, so I looked elsewhere. I went into this underground bar that used to be a train station and came across this dude getting berated by a couple gunners. I think the gunners are one of the dumbest factions in the entire Fallout franchise. They're so underdeveloped despite dialogue acting like they're much more organized and deeply problematic than they really are. They're literally just raiders cosplaying as the military, okay? They're pointless. My sympathy for this man, due to my hatred for the gunners, was overwhelming. Once the 2 representatives of the worst faction ever were gone, I spoke to him. This is MacCready, a former gunner who now just sits in this chair in this bar forever. I felt so bad for him that I thought he deserved to be on the show. I mean, there's always a sob story on America's Got Talent, right? MacCready being a former gunner and now hating them like I do is such a golden buzzer moment. Now that I had all my contestants picked out, each one fulfilling some sort of common archetype of a reality TV personality, it was time to develop Spectacle Island. My least favorite enemies are Mirelurks. I mentioned this in the last Fallout 4 video I made. It just so happens that Spectacle Island only has Mirelurks for enemies, and to unlock the workshop you have to kill all of them. This is including a Mirelurk Queen, by the way, which I forgot about. The first time I went to Spectacle Island, I was very low level and wasn't actually expecting to unlock the workshop yet. I just wanted to get it marked on my map so I could fast travel to it later. Then, when I felt like I had built up my character a little bit more, I went to go fight the Mirelurks infesting my precious television set space. Tragically, I remember that there were more than just regular Mirelurks on the island. island. When you switch on the island's main power in this big boat, it summons a Mirelurk Queen for some reason. I don't really get how electricity causes a giant crab to show up, but this is Todd's world and I guess I'm just living in it. After a series of increasingly bad failures, I left the Mirelurk Queen and her 1 billion babies on Spectacle Island alone for a while. I rage quit, okay? Certainly not my first time and not my last either. While I was cooling off, I thought I should get started on finding a suitable host for the show. I mean, how can you do one of these shows without a Sean Robinson or a Lana or a Nick Lachey? And that's when it hit me. Nick Valentine. His name is perfect, very show busy, and he seems like he's sort of in need of a career shift anyway. I can't imagine the detective business is booming when you're locked inside a half-finished vault by some wannabe mobsters. I freed Nick Valentine from Vault 114 and sent him back to his detective agency, for now. With Nick's help, I furthered the main storyline with the whole hunting down and killing Kellogg thing, but that's of no consequence here. If anything, it was just a bonding exercise between me and a cast member. After I let him think he could continue being a detective, I sent him to Spectacle Island for an exciting new job opportunity. After that, I got to work on the main set for the show. Lots of reality dating shows will have these types of seating arrangements for reunion shows at the end of the season. Think of it like one of those conversation pits designed for deep philosophical dialogues, only without any of the refinement or intention. This space will be a Socratic circle for romance and fighting and ratings. Or maybe it's just where I'm going to position the companions to make the video look nice, I don't know. I decided to romance Preston first since he was the first companion I came across. Romance in Fallout 4 is based on your companion's affinity, which is basically how the game tracks how much your companions like or dislike you. They all have personalized likes and dislikes, including actions and dialogue. But some companions' likes are more achievable than others. For example, Paladin Dance likes when you get into power armor, so hypothetically you could just do that over and over again until you reach maximum affinity with him. Oh, Paladin Dance, how I wish you could have been in this video. Maybe next Valentine's Day. Other companions aren't so easy to please. Their liked actions may be easily repeatable, like modding weapons, but that eats up precious materials I need for building on Spectacle Island. I'm telling you all of this because Preston needed a lot from me. I spent hours just working on getting his affinity up, never mind the time I spent on the actual quests he gave me. I'm not just talking about Settlement Radiant quests, which we'll get to in a minute. When you get to certain points in the main story and reach a certain affinity with a companion, you can be given special quests that are just for them. Guess what I had to do for Preston's?
Don't worry, General. We're not afraid of those Mirelurks.
Good, because I am. Oh, I didn't mean to fall.
His quests also really aren't about him. They're much more about rebuilding the Minutemen, which I know is his thing, but the quests don't pay very much attention to his character at all. As for raising his affinity, the best course of action was to obey Preston's continual request for me to establish more settlements for the Minutemen. He loves when you promise to help settlers, which increases affinity more than a liked action. I love settlement building in this game, but this process of Preston telling you where to go and what to do for so long really irks me. I didn't even get to do any real settlement building either because I was just trying to get Preston to fall in love with me, not actually help the Minutemen in a meaningful way. I helped a couple settlements, then Preston told me it was time to retake the castle, and in my head I was like, already? I did remember the Mirelurk Queen at the castle, unlike Spectacle Island, and I was anything but enthusiastic to relive that nightmare. Outside, Preston gathered me and a few other Minutemen to discuss strategy. I paid this no mind and ran straight in. I mean, I know I'm gonna die. There are Mirelurk eggs all over the castle, so even if you can evade the Mirelurks or even the Queen, the hatchlings will probably still be all over you. The Minutemen are somewhat helpful in the fight, but as usual in this game, combat effectiveness is mainly up to the player. I died so many times, but eventually I was able to blow yet another crab matriarch to pieces. Once all the Mirelurks were dead and the eggs were destroyed, I hooked up a generator to the radio transmitter and the Minutemen were back in business. To my utter dismay, this did nothing for my affinity with Preston, so I went right back to my boring settlement stuff. I really don't appreciate that Preston just made me deal with an entire Mirelurk colony like that, for no reason. It took many hours and many deaths for me to unlock my first of 3 pivotal conversations that occur when getting to know a companion. In this one, Preston told me about his earlier days with the Minutemen and the bad politics he experienced, but like, this is the apocalypse. Are we not all victims of bad politics? In between fulfilling the requests of settlers all around the Commonwealth, Preston sent me back to the castle to help some other Minuteman, even though he claimed to be the last one earlier. Things aren't adding up, Preston. Worse, this quest requires me to kill another terrifying boss-type enemy, this time a sentry bot. I only had 1 mini-nuke, so I had to use it well, which I did. I don't know how necessary it was, though, seeing that the sentry bot seems to have gotten stuck behind this wall. Again, after completing this quest, Preston's affinity didn't go up. I know you can't force love, but this is getting ridiculous. I'm not some situationship you could push around to fix the Minutemen's problems for you. Actually, now that I think about it, these types of relationships are so common on reality shows, aren't they?
It's always, there's another settlement that needs our help. I'll mark it on your map and never, how are you? It's never hello.
Right when I finished complaining, Preston was ready to have his second big conversation with me. The second conversation is the first one you're able to flirt in, but since I had Charisma 10, that wouldn't be a problem. Preston told me that he appreciated my dedication to helping the settlers of the Commonwealth, finally. This was after over 10 hours of gameplay at this point, most of that being just running around settlements for him. I flirted with Preston for the first time successfully, of course, which meant I was getting close to being done with fixing up all these settlements. I did a few more of those, then I had some productive conversations with the people of Boston. I taught Mo Cronin the truth about baseball and sent the Vault Tech rep back to Sanctuary, both things Preston liked. Then, I finally unlocked the last conversation with Preston to completely romance him. This conversation is much heavier than the others. Preston talks about having been suicidal, which makes me feel bad for picking on him this whole time. I flirted with him one more time, solidifying our relationship and maxing out our affinity.
Have you ever thought about us becoming more than just friends?
Have I ever? You mean you've also?
I think Preston is a nice person with a well-written backstory, but his functionality in gameplay is so annoying that it makes it hard to truly love him. I'll keep that in mind for the final ceremony. When it was time to romance MacCready, I was overjoyed. I went back to the third railing good neighbor, negotiated him down to 200 caps, and paid him to be my companion. I felt weird about this at first, but it's actually being fair. I mean, the contestants should be paid for being on the show, right? MacCready's two easiest liked actions are stealing and picking locks, two of my favorite activities in Fallout. He also had some pretty strong reactions to things that happened in a couple quests, so I decided to do those as well. First, MacCready and I helped the radio DJ Travis gain some confidence by beating up two guys in a bar and then rescuing the bartender from raiders. MacCready likes when you're mean to Travis, which made me a little sad because I actually really like Travis as a character. MacCready gets a pass for being easier to get affinity with than Preston, though. While we were in the bar, MacCready and I had our first of 3 deep conversations, as you'd call them in The Sims. He explained that he needs a bunch of caps because of the gunners, but no matter what you do, the game forces you to go out to Mass Pike Interchange to kill them. The next quest I took MacCready on was in Covenant, that creepy pre-war town. He likes when you gain entrance to the compound, which I thought was weird at first, but then I realized most companions have a reaction to this. I guess it makes sense. I'd also have a reaction to my friend randomly joining a cult. A caravaneer named Honest Stan told me of his suspicions about Covenant, that they were responsible for the attack on a nearby caravan. After poking around some terminals and accepting then ignoring a bribe from the mayor, MacCready and I found ourselves in a secret underground facility. There, a scientist from Covenant tortures synths in hopes of finding a way to determine whether or not somebody's a synth without killing them. As horrible as this is, MacCready likes when you side with the scientist, so what choice did I have? I let her carry on with her experiment, which was literally just killing one of the caravaneers from earlier. MacCready's moral compass is definitely broken, but I continued. Not to be like this, but maybe I can fix him. I returned to the usual scheming with MacCready, being rude to people, picking locks, stealing, you know, fun stuff. This led to our second conversation in the middle of Diamond City with a guard pushing us around. He opened up about his childhood in the Capital Wasteland, then I flirted with him for the first time. He ate it up, obviously. With just one conversation left to finish romancing MacCready, I journeyed south to help this kid trapped in a fridge be reunited with his parents. MacCready likes when you help him. I'd find it concerning if any of the companions disliked when you help him. After another round of stealing, MacCready told me about his chronically ill son who can only be cured by a rare medicine inside the MedTech research facility. MacCready being a father is automatically gonna get sympathy points from the audience. People go crazy for a DILF. Inside the MedTech research facility, MacCready and I battled through a very annoying amount of feral ghouls before reaching the last room containing the cure Prevent. The only thing left to do to save his son was to take it to Daisy and Goodneighbor so she could get it into the hands of a trustworthy courier. As with Preston, MacCready had no reaction to me doing this enormous task for him. I was a little more forgiving of MacCready though, since I didn't have to fight a Mirelurk Queen for him. I stole a couple more things from Diamond City with MacCready watching, and then I was able to flirt with him one more time. He gave me this toy soldier that his dead wife made for him, which is kinda crazy to me, but okay. I both like and dislike MacCready. He has some similar interests with me, like stealing, but some of his ethical choices are questionable for me. I just have to hope the last contestant is good because so far I'm not loving my marriage prospects. I knew Cait would be the easiest to raise affinity with before I even started. Some easy liked actions for her are using chems, getting naked, picking locks, and pockets. It was clear to me that Cait's interest made her reality TV material and she would be the natural star of Love Island Commonwealth. I met up with her in the combat zone and set out to complete a quest I started a while ago but had been saving for her. In the basement of the Shamrock Tap House, there's a modified Protectron called Drinkin' Buddy. You get this quest when Rufus asks you to bring the robot to the Hotel Rexford, but certain companions like it if you keep Buddy for yourself. Cait loves it when you keep Buddy for yourself. I thought this would be a beautiful start to our relationship. My time with Cait continued to be pleasant as the Cait liked that notification seemed to appear every time I attempted to impress her. This was not always true with Preston and MacCready, so Cait was starting to grow on me quickly. We had some fun crawling around Diamond City and good neighbors stealing caps out of people's pockets and Nuka Quantums off of counters. In the midst of all that, Cait initiated our first conversation. Don't mind how my character's naked, it's for Cait. She told me that she hated me at first because she didn't feel like she could trust anybody, but she's come to trust me now, which is hilarious because all I've shown her is a horrible person. All we've done together is steal and vandalize, but if that's what she considers trustworthy, then who am I to judge that? More usual shenanigans, boom, conversation number 2, you know the drill. Like MacCready, she told me about her childhood, although I'm not sure if I could even talk about her childhood on YouTube because it's so dark. I don't know, I just want to make sure I can still get ads. I took the first opportunity to flirt with her and our romance had officially begun.
Oh, well, that's not what I expected you to say.
Sometime later, Cait confessed to me that she had been addicted to Psycho and had been secretly using the whole time we'd been together. Lucky for us, there's a vault near the glowing sea that has a machine that cures drug addictions. Vault 95 is a formidable location with lots of gunners, assaultrons, and turrets. Fallout 4 is designed so that the further south you go on the map, the more dangerous the enemies get, and Vault 95 is pretty close to the bottom. It's a tough fight. I died a couple times, but who's counting? But we eventually made our way to the machine that would change Cait's life for the better. She sat in the chair, I activated the machine, and after a few moments, Cait was cured. She thanked me, although I didn't receive any actual reward in the form of affinity. I'd come to accept this by now, though, so I let it slide. I continued to pilfer around the Commonwealth with no clothes on, just how Cait likes, until she was ready to have our final conversation. It just so happened that we were in a really pretty location for this, which is just perfect. It's almost like it was scripted for reality television. Cait reiterated her trust in me, and I flirted with her a second time. The scene was absolutely idyllic, just what you'd expect from an island dating show. With Nick Valentine moderating, the 4 contestants, myself included, took the Love Island Commonwealth stage. Based on everything that had happened while gaining affinity with my 3 companions, I felt ready to make my decision. It's Cait. Obviously I'm marrying Cait. Did you really think I'd pick anybody else? Romancing Cait was effortless yet rewarding. She deserves to be the inaugural winner of Love Island Commonwealth. I gave the wedding ring to Cait, and with that, the show had been completed. You're welcome, people of the Commonwealth. Now you have something to watch besides literal paint drying. I actually think Valentine's Day is kind of silly. I don't think there needs to be one specific day for you to hone in on your romantic relationships because that should already be happening regularly. But even I'm not immune to holiday fun. Why do you think I'm uploading this video today? Thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and have a happy Valentine's Day.